Hello and welcome to our first Decathlon Winter Sports live stream with our ski and snowboard experts Jane Bolton, Managing Director at Onalo, Robert Stewart, Ski Editor at Snow Guide, and Jamie Nicholls, Olympian snowboarder. First, thank you guys for being here. How do you feel?
Very good, thank you.
Great, thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. So today we have 5 predefined questions, giving some useful advice to people that are already into one or both of those sports. After, we will also answer some of our viewers' questions. So please, if you have any questions, post them as comments below the video. Okay, ready for the first question?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question would be, which sports can get you ready for the ski snowboard season? Jane, maybe ladies start first.
Well, we were just saying that is there actually a sport that will get you to the right muscles? Most people, I think, find that they need to work their quads. So I'd say cycling, lots of gym work, lunges, and squats. Those would be the ones I would recommend.
Great. What do you think, Jamie?
I think that, well, obviously I train a lot in the gym for what I do, and I definitely work a lot on my hamstrings and my glutes because I've had a few knee injuries in the past, and it really helps if you work on your glutes and your hamstrings and your quads and you get everything strong. It risks, well, it basically means it takes this out of the equation that you wouldn't get injured as much. So it's definitely something to work on. Trampolining is also a really good thing to do for skiing and snowboarding, especially if you're working on spatial awareness and going upside down loads, which is what I kind of need to try and achieve when I'm snowboarding. So yeah, trampolining, and obviously I'm in the gym loads too, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't really enjoy the gym and I don't really like running, so I think it's really important to do what you like doing because it gets you out, it gets you motivated. So I enjoy mountain biking. I think it builds up the leg muscles and also your stamina. And I also enjoy playing tennis, so I get out a couple of times a week and play tennis, and the same thing, it builds your stamina, builds your strength, coordination, timing, all of the things that are important for skiing. And I think it's just really important to do something you like doing because then you'll get out. The other thing is go skiing. Use one of the ski centres locally to you, and just get out there and ski, learn to ski, and practice skiing before you go out to the Alps or wherever you're going.
Okay, that's great. And I wanted to ask you, because yesterday we had a Twitter chat that actually Rob was part of, and there was a question asked, are there any specific muscle groups that need to be trained, for example, specifically for snowboard or for skiing?
I think they're pretty much the same, aren't they, for skiing and snowboarding? It's like basically your glutes and your quads and your hamstrings protect your knees, which is kind of one of probably the biggest injuries in skiing and snowboarding.
Yeah,
would you say?
definitely.
Knees? Yeah, knee injuries are massive, and just making sure those are strong. So getting in the gym, doing your back squats, doing your deadlifts, and your glute bridges and stuff like that is really important.
And if you're a complete beginner on skis, you might find that you end up pushing yourself quite a lot on your poles and trying to warm up these muscles here somehow, get those strengthened, is also invaluable, I think, if you can manage to do that.
That's quite interesting. You could go climbing to strengthen those up, I guess.
But you always forget to.
Yeah.
You might have to do some of that.
There are muscles in your legs that if you ski for the first time, there are muscles in the legs that you won't know existed until you have been skiing, and you'll feel them at the end of the day. You will. So the more you can prepare your leg muscles, the better. But again, core strength is really important as well. Definitely.
Okay, great. So we can move on to the second question. What is the most essential bit of kit to have on the slopes, according to you guys?
For me, it's got to be warm gloves. I get very cold, and I need to be warm. Otherwise, I'm not really enjoying myself. So that would be my piece of advice.
To be warm.
I do need to be warm if I can.
It's essential.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I get cold hands, so really good gloves stop that from happening. Your body tends to stay warm when you're out on the slopes. You've got several layers on, and gloves are just really, really important to get those extremities. And a good pair of ski socks. Don't compromise. Don't wear your old pair of football socks that are in the drawer. Invest in a decent pair of ski socks because that will make all the difference to your feet as well.
Definitely. I definitely always remember my helmet. That is one key thing for, obviously I don't want to hit my head at any point when I'm snowboarding, and obviously I like to have my phone with me as well to capture any runs in the park or pictures on the jumps or anything for social media. So, and if I want to ring my friends and stuff like, if someone's lost, it's, you know, it's ideal to have a phone on you. So I always take that and never forget that.
Do you wear a face buff?
I do, yes, I do, but it's not like, if I forget it, it's not like the end of the world.
Oh.
I try to remember my headphones as well, because
Yeah.
that's, sometimes I like listen to music, especially when I'm nervous trying something. It's quite nice to like switch off, listen to some music, and it takes your attention away from that, being scared.
Well, I'll just add as well that I wear, you know, I wear glasses, and I can't wear contact lenses. So for me, I have to have a pair of goggles that fits really well over my glasses. It's really, really important. And I carry a neck scarf with me as well, just to clean them off once in a while. And if you do wear glasses and you're thinking about skiing, don't worry about it. Just get a pair of goggles that fits over your glasses, and you'll be fine. You know, but it's really important to carry a cloth with you. It's very essential.
And would you say goggles rather than sunglasses now?
Oh, it's quite nice to wear sunglasses on the mountain. Yeah, it definitely is. You can actually get a bit, because obviously if you're snowboarding or skiing down the mountain and you do wear sunglasses, sometimes the light from the snow can reflect off and actually go under
Right.
and still catch your eyes,
Yeah.
which I've done in the past, and I've ended up with burnt eyes still, or like feeling like a little bit, you know, get a headache when I'm down the mountain. I'm like, why, I've worn sunglasses, but yeah, sometimes it can happen.
And do your eyes not water massively as well with them?
With sunglasses
Yeah.
on, not so, without them definitely,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, not so much. Not so much.
It's funny how fashion's changed though. I remember, you know, just wearing sunglasses and nothing else on my head, you know, and today, out of 10 times or more, I've got a helmet and goggles on.
Yeah.
It's more of a fashion thing, but yeah.
Okay, great. That was a great discussion. So what tips can you give to people new to skiing and snowboarding? What do they need to know?
Who's going?
I think,
You know any?
well, I think the first thing for me is if you're planning to go on a ski holiday this winter, you know, again, I've said it already, but go research where your local slope is, whether it's a dry ski slope,
Yeah.
whether it's an indoor snow slope, whether it's a place like Skiplex or Chelsea, which are the carpet revolving machines. It doesn't matter what kind of slope or surface it is, just research that, go and have some lessons, because when you get there, it will make all the difference, I think, if you learn and prepare. Even if you just have 3 or 4 ski lessons before you go, you're familiar with the equipment, you're familiar with walking on skis, balancing on skis, sliding on skis, and that will really help and set you up.
I totally agree with that. 100%. Yeah, no, definitely. It's really important to make sure you go and try it out first before you actually even probably book a holiday.
Yeah.
You know, like just to even try it, see if you like it, and then obviously if you like it and you're used to it, and it's then go for it. Definitely.
I think for me, it's really important because we book ski holidays for people. When you're a complete beginner, it's really important to remember how it was to learn, because we've all skied for years or snowboarded for years, and we've forgotten just how intimidating and scary it can be. So talking to people who have done it before, for example, I found it really hard going with my children for the first time. So now I've experienced that a little bit more. I know where I would want to go and how I would want to do it. I practiced with the children. We practiced falling over, and we made them laugh when they fell over, so that when they inevitably fell over in the snow, they didn't have a complete sense of humour failure until I landed on my small child, but that's a different story. So yeah, absolutely practicing it, but looking forward to it, trying to enjoy it as much as possible, because it is brilliant fun. And something like falling over could ruin it for you, but it's going to happen, so you've got to accept that.
Yeah, don't let it happen.
Yeah.
Don't let it annoy you.
Don't
Definitely.
get frustrated by it. Just keep trying, and hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll have a brilliant time.
Okay, great. And we have one customer question that is actually connected to that, to what you said, that practice before you go on the real slopes. So where is the best indoor centre in the UK to practice? And is it a good idea to have a few lessons on a dry ski slope if you're not, if you haven't skied before?
Well, the best indoor centre is probably the one closest to where you live. You know, they're all very good, and you know, in the southeast of England, we've got the Snow Centre at Hemel Hempstead. It's a fantastic facility. But if you live in the north of England, you've got Chill Factory in Manchester, and in the Midlands, Tamworth in Leeds, Castleford near Leeds. Yeah,
There's
and
lots
Scotland
of them.
has Braehead in Glasgow, so there's plenty of indoor slopes. But if there isn't one close to you, then a dry slope. If you're a beginner, a dry slope is a good place to start as well. I started learning to ski on a dry ski slope.
Yeah, so, we all
And,
definitely.
We didn't have indoor snow slopes, but they're great facilities to learn on. So I think the best one is where you live. Just go to the closest way.
Okay, so there is no specific recommendation that people need to follow.
I mean the indoor, like, I've been to Castleford. I started at Castleford, and Halifax ski slope, and then I moved down south. And I definitely think that at the snow centre, the snow quality, because it's a new centre, is really, really good. So if, obviously, at other places, when it's a bit older, it's a lot slower, and then at the snow centre, it really helps that they have really quick snow, because that makes a massive difference. It just makes it really easy.
And I took the children there for a lesson as well, and the instructors were really good.
Yeah, they are good.
You know,
good
they really seemed to care. Amazing turning up on a Saturday morning and seeing how many people there are doing it. I thought it was a brilliant experience for them to try. So that's where we would go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Very busy.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a really good setup there. They've got a fantastic cafe and restaurant. It's a nice environment. So if you live in that area, definitely I would head to the snow centre for sure.
Good place to go.
Okay, great. So before I ask my favorite question, actually, I still want to encourage our viewers to ask more questions, because it's going to be great for them to get your advice on it. So the fourth question, which is my favorite one, is what is your favorite place to go skiing or snowboarding? Because that would be very, very different, I guess, for snowboarding and skiing.
I would say it's really hard, because obviously I go to a lot of places with very good parks, but recently, over the last year or so, I would say Lax, Switzerland, is one of my favourite places. They've put so much effort into building amazing parks, amazing jumps, and they've got this whole, I can't even think how long, it's massive, it's really long, and this whole chairlift, the whole lap must be 18 different features you can snowboard on or ski on, and it's an incredible place. I also think Stubai is really good as well, pre-season, so before winter actually starts. The glaciers up there are really good as well, so I would say Stubai and Lax are my two favourite places to go snowboarding.
Okay, cool.
I get asked this question quite a bit, and it's always a tricky one to answer, and I think it's so personal. Every ski resort I turn up in, there's something to explore, there's something unique about it, and if there's snow and mountains, then I'm happy. But for me, it depends if I go skiing with my family or if I'm looking for something else a bit more adventurous. For example, I love Verbier because I spent a lot of time there, Verbier in Switzerland. So I go back there and I know the area and I have friends there, so it makes it very special. I love little small ski resorts in Norway. I think it's very special in Norway. It really feels like the cradle of skiing, and it's just a bit different to the Alps. But I went recently to Italy with my family at Easter time to Champollion, and I loved it there. It was very relaxed, very laid back. We had a great family ski holiday. So, it's
I agree with it, but I mean,
it's really hard.
It's really who you go with and what you're going for, because obviously there's different lengths of times that you can go as well. But we often get asked for weekend skiing, which is not the same as a whole week. So for a weekend, last year I went to Italy to the Val Gardena. It was absolutely fantastic. We skied the Sella Ronda and I loved it. You could go to the French Pyrenees, for example, for a weekend. It's brilliant. You hop on a Ryanair flight from Stansted to Lourdes. It's only 45 minutes from the airport. Some of the resorts there are not well known, but fantastic as well. So for a weekend, you don't have to, just go to the Alps, but brilliant. For a week, if I was going with my family, I would go to Les Arcs, to Arc 1950, because there's doorstep skiing, everything is just where you want it. The ski school meets outside the building, and you can ski past the buildings and straight into your ski boot room at the end of the day, and it's total and utter
I'm writing this down. I've never been there. So.
We can invite you, obviously, because it's brilliant.
We haven't mentioned North America either, and a couple of years ago I was lucky enough to go to British Columbia and ski a lot of the resorts in British Columbia, Kicking Horse, Revelstoke, and Fernie and that area, and it's an amazing area, very, very different to the Alps, wilderness area with some fantastic resorts. as well. So if you get the chance to go over there, it's pretty special.
Yeah. But then, you know, do you wish, do the people that want to go, do they want to go and experience a nice traditional small village atmosphere? Or do they want to go somewhere where there's the staggering beauty of the Chamonix Valley, for example, where it's absolutely stunningly beautiful? Or Teen, or somewhere where you're nice and high, you know you've got the snowshore guarantee, but then you've got some architecture that might not be quite so in keeping with the traditional village.
Yeah, Chamonix is really nice.
Chamonix is
Yeah,
absolutely
that's a
beautiful.
nice
It's a great place to go if you've got non-skiers in your group as well, because there's a proper town there. You can go to the cinema, you can do
There's
lots of other
stuff to do, yeah.
activities. And that's fantastic. But then if you've got small children, you might not want to be in an area where the skiing's so fragmented. So it depends who you're skiing with and what you want to get out of
I
your
definitely
trip.
agree.
And I think if you're a beginner, you know, you shouldn't. A lot of ski resorts, like Chamonix and Verbier, take Chamonix and Verbier for example. They're very well known for their off-piste skiing, for the expert ski terrain. But of course, they cater for beginners as well, because a ski resort has to cater for beginners and intermediate skiers, otherwise they wouldn't survive. So there's plenty of beginner slopes there. You know,
And
don't be put off by.
There's loads of resorts now that are completely redoing their beginner zones. Flen is one as well. Val d'Isère, for example, you know, they've got those amazing new lifts at the top.
Yeah.
And they're investing just as much as in the parks. I think they're investing in their beginners areas as well.
I think actually, like I said earlier, I think Les Arcs, or I think it was either Les Arcs or Alpe d'Huez. It was my first holiday that I ever went on to the mountains, and I just remember it being amazing. And like you said, you can just go straight to your door. Like I remember staying somewhere where I could go down this blue run, I remember, and then how we just got, and then it was straight into the boot room.
It's brilliant.
It's,
you can't beat it.
yeah, you can't beat it. No, you can't beat it. And like Lax and the places where I normally go now, it's like a drive to the mount, like the hill. So, like I think Dubai, it's like 40-minute drive up to the glacier, and then it's just not the same like in those kind of places. But
you can maximise your time on the mountain.
yeah,
can't you?
maximise it a little
It's what
bit
your
more.
priorities are, really. At the end of the day, you know, I love Wengen in Switzerland as well, but it's very slow there. You know, you get on a train and you go up the mountain on a train. You might not get as much mileage done in a day as in a modern resort with big cable cars, but you know, it's a different experience.
It's a different experience. Absolutely lovely.
I miss those times a little bit.
Yeah.
There's no I go up the mountain and I'm like full on like train for 3 to 5 hours on the mountain, and then I actually don't even touch a piste. Only on the way home back down to the bottom. But yeah, I'm generally just going off jumps all the time, so I don't get to enjoy the mountain as much. Like I went to Perisher in Australia, and I didn't even explore. I was there for 3 weeks and I didn't even explore anywhere or any of the pistes, just the park. It's mad. Oh well.
But, we're not feeling
Never
that
mind.
sympathetic. We're not feeling that sympathetic to you at the moment. when you're on your board the whole time.
The whole year. Yeah, it's not too bad.
I think, it's such a big question. We could talk about ski resorts
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, I think that was the one that really interests you guys. Okay, so before we move on to the last question, a couple of questions from our customers. So, do you think that it's really hard to make the transition from being a skier to snowboarder and vice versa?
Ooh.
And which is harder, in your opinion?
Oh.
You have done it both.
What do you think?
I think they're totally different sports.
Yeah.
I compare it to saying to a football player. You know, if you knew a professional footballer and you said, "Do you play rugby as well?" You know, because it's done on the same surface in the same type of environment, but they're not the same sports at all. And I see skiing and snowboarding like that. We do them in the same environment, but they are very, very different technically, and there's lots of differences. Of course, there's lots of similarities. We're sliding on snow, so but football and rugby are the same. You're running on grass. I ski. I tried snowboarding once. I snowboarded for a day. I really loved it, but I hung it up at the end of the day, and I said I'll stick to the two planks because I felt more comfortable with it, and I was happy with just the skiing.
Yeah.
But Jamie was saying that he only started on a snowboard, which I didn't even know you could. I thought everyone started on skiing.
I remember I started snowboard. I went to Halifax ski slope when I was younger, and we drove past there on the way to the shops, and I said to my mum and dad, I was like, I really want to have a go for my birthday. So it was my 7th birthday, and they booked me on a lesson. It was on Dendex, which was the horrible surface to go on. And it actually took me a while to get like past, because I kept wanting to go on the big slope. I was like, I want to go off that jump, I want to go off that jump. And it took a while for me to actually get onto the big slope, but when I got on there, I just absolutely loved it. I was hooked, and I went there every single day after school, except from Sundays, because my parents were like, that's a family day. But I was there all the time, and it was probably some of the best memories I've ever had. And I never skied, it was just snowboarding. And then it wasn't so long, like after, well, it was a while after actually, I tried skiing for the first time, and I felt like it was quite easy to transition to skiing. Like, I only did it for a day, and I ended up going upside down once. Not actually on purpose, not by accident. I ended up trying to backflip, but yeah, there you go. It's just, I don't know. I find it quite easy. Once you know, like, you've got the control of one, it must be quite easy to just take that.
I think
Yeah,
I guess
maybe
that's
it, 'cause I hated
the edge
snowboarding
control.
because I tried it once and I didn't like it because I didn't like having my feet together.
Like,
That's what I felt as well.
Absolutely. I liked having being able to independently move my legs.
That's funny, isn't
But
it?
of course, that knowledge, that feel of the snow. I think if you're a skier and you try snowboarding, and probably vice versa, because you understand the way the snow works and edges work on the snow. If you can do one sport, you can transition to the next one probably more easily than if you hadn't skied or snowboarded. For sure.
No, I agree.
But it could also be
Yeah.
an age issue.
I'm just
You were
loose
young
and
enough.
just like go
No,
for
but
it.
you were young enough to
Yeah.
be able to try them both and enjoy them both.
Yeah,
Whereas
no, definitely.
I definitely learned to ski,
Yeah.
and I at that age I didn't feel like I wanted to become a beginner again. I don't think, and that was what potentially put me off.
It is quite interesting going to the other one, because it's definitely a bit weird. Like, especially if you've not, like, you've been like, obviously for me, snowboarding all the time, and then you put on some skis. But then I guess I got used to it actually, because doing split boarding a lot. Like,
Oh,
if you're
right,
hiking,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
you're kind of already on,
Yeah.
well, you're on two planks, and then you
Yes.
put them together at
Yeah.
the top. So you kind of get used to it being on two kind of things then, I
Yeah.
guess. But no.
So what was the
Pretty much
conclusion
the
there?
same.
You can do it if you're young enough and fit enough.
No.
Well, I think that if the transition is easier if you can do one sport.
Yeah.
We probably do we agree that the transition to ski or snowboard, if you can do one of them already, is probably easier than starting from scratch.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely. That's the conclusion there.
That's
There you go.
There you go. Great. So another question from a customer. If you're a complete beginner and you just want to start a winter sport, which one would you recommend? Which is easier, skiing or snowboarding? I know that probably you have a big discussion there, but let's hear it.
Go for ages. I wouldn't know, because I started snowboarding straight away. So, and then obviously when I went on skis, it was quite easy. I found it was quite easy. So, I mean, I'm not like an amazing skier. Like, I wouldn't go really quickly down the hill, but definitely I found it easier the more edges I had. Like, 'cause obviously you got four edges on skis. So, but I'm not sure. What do you think?
Well, again, never learned to snowboard, but my feeling is that now that the skis are easier to ski on, it might be slightly easier to learn to ski, depending on what experience you've had before. If you've already been a skateboarder or something, then fine. I would definitely go for the snowboarding option. But if you've never done anything like that before, my instinct now would be to say the skiing, because if you talk to lots of the instructors, that's what they recommend. I think,
Recommend
is
you
to
trying
start skiing
first,
first, because it is that bit easier. Would you
Should be
agree?
the other way around.
Yeah.
Try snowboarding first.
I think I'd agree with that. I think there's a very steep learning curve at the beginning with skiing and snowboarding. You know, the learning curve goes like that, and then it tails off there. And then, so within, say, a week, if you go skiing for a week, your first week ski holiday, the learning curve is very, very steep for both sports, snowboarding and skiing. But for the first 2 days, I've had this discussion before with a snowboarder, and I think for the first 2 days, we came to the conclusion that skiing was probably easier for the first couple of days. But within 2 or 3 days, the two sports had evened out.
Yeah.
So that snowboarding and skiing was about the same in the middle of the week. You're going to achieve the same kind of level, i.e. be able to ski or snowboard on the same type of slope. But then snowboarding, to become what you might consider a good snowboarder, able to snowboard the whole mountain or maybe go off-piste, is probably a bit easier.
to get to that level.
It's easier to get to that level as a snowboarder,
I'd say snowboarding.
and it takes a bit longer with skiing because there's some technical differences.
I would rather go snowboarding in powder than I would go skiing. I just feel like I'd go constantly
would.
over. But if I'd never done it before, because I feel
Might be
got
easier
two
to float,
things,
might be
on
easier
my
to
feet,
float on
like
the powder maybe.
exactly.
Yeah.
But Jane, I mean, you said skis have changed. You know, today skis are very, very different to what they were 15 years ago, and even every year they're changing, and they are so much easier to ski on
Yes.
today than they were 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Different shape, different size, you know, and that makes skiing a lot easier today. It does.
Okay, thank you so much. And there is another customer question for you guys. What's the worst injury you've ever had on the slopes?
I think my knee is probably the worst ever injury that I've ever had, just because it just sucks because you're out for so long, and you know, if you break your wrist, at least you can still go snowboarding or skiing with. Well, you're not meant to, but it's not like allowed, but you can still actually get around on your snowboard if you want. And then obviously when you do your knee, if you're a skier or a snowboarder, it's like a long time out. Like it took me, I think, obviously I had like the healthcare and the physios and everything, and it was actually a really quick transition. But because obviously I'm lucky and stuff, but it still took a good like half a year to fully feel like I was back on it.
Did you have to have
Surgery? I had a meniscus tear, which is like a bucket handle tear, so my knee was locked, so I couldn't actually like fully straighten it out. And then I've got half an ACL. So, but they didn't actually, because surgically when they went in there, it was still quite strong, so they didn't do anything to it, which I'm happy about because it would have took like a year probably.
And are you now back to full fitness?
Yeah, I am. I still have knee problems though, like it still swells up now and again, and it's just annoying. It's just a niggle that always keeps coming back. So yeah, knees suck.
Yeah.
That's the general conclusion.
When you see what you do to them as well.
Yeah, I can't imagine what I'm going to be like when I'm 50 or something.
Imagine being nearly that
Well, they
old.
won't be able to walk.
Rob?
I've been really lucky in the 35 years that I've been skiing. You know, I've broken my nose a couple of times skiing moguls, where I've had done that. I've broken my toes for some reason.
Toes?
Yeah, I know
Really?
that's pretty odd, but I have. And I've got wear and tear. I've got wear and tear
Wear and tear.
after skiing for a long time. But major knee injuries I've avoided.
That's
I've had some sprains and strains, but major knee injuries I've avoided.
That's good.
I slipped over once, you know, walking around a ski resort. I slipped over on the ice once, and I had a serious head injury, which was pretty nasty. So, you know, that was my own fault for having my hand. Don't walk around on ice with your hands in pockets. That's a very bad thing to do. You know, but I've been incredibly lucky.
I hit my head a couple of winters ago and had to have a scan and found I'd got a herniated disc in my up here. But actually it hasn't caused me that much problem at all. It sounded a lot more serious than it was. I do think it's an age, again, sorry to go on about it, an age thing, because you mend a lot easier when you're younger. And as you get older, something that you think is slightly innocent, like my fall, I got up and I skied off and I thought, oh, that's fine. And then in the morning I found myself unable to move from one way to the other. Previously I might have shrugged that off, but this time it was a bit much, so I'd say that was my worst one. I've also had a meniscus issue. But,
annoying.
But yes, but I was amazed that after the surgery, I was amazed at how well.
It's so good.
How well I
It's
get
so
on.
quick.
Yeah.
It's actually a quick surgery.
Yeah.
I think it's like what, half an hour.
Yeah, something like that.
Really quick.
As long as you've got that arrow on your leg to make sure they get the right one.
Exactly.
I think, you know, I mean, obviously injuries happen. We can't get around that. But I taught skiing for a long time, many years, and in that time, it was not very often that I had to deal with an injury. It was really, really rare.
Yeah.
But of course,
Don't be put off.
Don't be put off by it. But one of the big injury risks now is other people, isn't it, skiing into you? I think that people who are skiing out of control, that causes. That's a real risk factor and something that you need to be aware of if you're standing in a perhaps not in the most sensible place on the slope because you want to have a rest. There are people that can fly over a ridge. When I was skiing with Harry last year and he fell over, my little boy, I found myself sitting in the middle of a piste, terrified. My skis were everywhere with a small child, and I didn't realise how fast people come past you, especially when you're sitting. And they were little jumps, and they were flying past my head, and I got him wrapped up like that with me. And that was the first time I'd experienced it, and it would certainly make me now ski differently if I see someone on the floor who's having, who's struggling to get up, especially.
And no one stopped to help.
Eventually
someone stopped.
Whilst Harry was shouting, "This is stupid, mummy!" But eventually we got down and it was fine, and he hasn't been scarred for life. But it was a difficult moment for a skiing mummy.
Yeah. It's not nice being hit.
No, and
anyone.
I wasn't hit, but it was
really
just the speed that people come past you. And I think people don't, unless you've experienced it on the other side, I don't think you would necessarily think.
Well, I remember another, it was right before, I was training for a competition, and it was in practice, and obviously when the park is a bit lower down, you get the chair if it's a bit higher, and I was snowboarding down, and another snowboarder came from, I don't know where he came from behind me or something, and he managed to cut my whole shin really deep, right, all through my pants, my thermals, my socks, and then just about to drop it. I had literally one run left to do in practice, and then I was doing my competition run, so I kind of just had to go with it, and I was like, blood pouring down my neck.
Dear idea.
It's a nightmare, because it happens so fast, and it's just oh. It doesn't even hurt initially. It's just annoying. But it does happen. So be careful for sure.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this. So we'll move on to the last question. What is the best way to become a better skier or snowboarder? That's very broad.
Practice, loads and loads.
Practice.
Yes. Yeah.
Taking advice as well.
They say 10,000 hours before you start.
It's automatic.
It just becomes like driving. When you fully qualified driver and you've been doing it for years, you just don't even think about it. And I think that's the same with snowboard skiing. When you've done it for so long, it's just so natural. So
I think it is a shame sometimes that skiers and snowboarders, I'm sure, once they get to a certain level, they decide not to take lessons anymore, and that's fine. And that's, of course, if they don't want to take instruction, completely up to them. But I think having instruction once in a while, if you're a ski instructor or a ski racer, or a professional snowboarder, you need coaching. You always need to be coached.
You get constantly getting coached.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that recreational skiers enjoy the ski holiday, and so they should. But actually, lessons can be great, even if you take one day, or it can just every time you go, if you just get that instruction, it can make a lot of difference.
You probably can never be told the same thing twice either, I find. Whoever you talk to will give you some different piece of advice on a different part of what you're doing and how you're doing it, and enjoying it as well. I find fitness as well. Fitness is a big thing, isn't it? Quite a lot of people just pick up and go. If you can prepare yourself before and you feel a bit fitter before you go, I think that's really important.
It makes it easier, a lot easier.
Yeah, again, going to the centres we have here in the UK and practising, and I think that's probably what you did when you were younger. It's what I did when I was younger. We were down at the dry ski slope every night, every weekend, practising and skiing and snowboarding, and the more you can do, the better.
I was almost doing we worked it out actually when I did this documentary a while ago. I'd done 10,000 hours or something by the time I was 9 or 10 years old.
Wow.
Something like that. I've done it was something crazy anyways. It was over 4 or 5 years. And I already did it. It's just crazy. Yeah, I was there every night though for 3 to 4 hours, so I was racking the hours up. I was addicted massively.
It's total dedication as well, isn't it, from you and from your parents?
It's funny because my parents just they did it as well, but not as much as me. They dropped me off, and I had a lot of friends there, and it was only 5. I was lucky; it was only 5 minutes from my house, the dry slope. But there was just a good scene there then, and my parents just felt like they could just leave me there with my friends, and I'd be fine. And I just was addicted. I used to absolutely enjoy coming home from school and then just going snowboarding for like 3 to 4 hours in the evening. I still love it.
And so I have to ask you now, do you enjoy it just as much now?
No, I do. I absolutely, I love doing it now still. It's amazing getting to travel the whole world, get to see so many different places. Obviously, it's just not quite the same as when I first started, where I never even expected to get where I am today at all. And when I was a kid, I never actually even dreamt about doing what I do now as well. So it's quite cool. It is tiring though, like especially when it comes to winter. And I mean, this winter we've got the Olympic qualifying again, and it's 15 contests that we've got to do, and some of them are like, there's one in like China, then we come all the way back to the US, and then go all the way back over to Japan. It's just ridiculous. Like it's going to be so bad with the jet lag and stuff. It's that kind of stuff I don't like.
But everyone will be in the same position because they'll all be in the same competition.
Exactly. That stuff, that's what I call work when snowing. But I'm quite good at separating that when.
And so are you allowed to go off and have fun?
Yeah, definitely. I love going on like a holiday snowboarding and just having fun with my friends from back home who don't do it professionally. It's quite nice. It's really refreshing actually.
How often would you get to do that?
I normally try and do it like once or twice in the winter. No, definitely. Very nice. Good.
Yeah, I mean, I think for most people who are going on a ski holiday, I guess if what's going to make them a better skier, they might not have the time, they might not be able to practice a lot here. We've said all the things that that general level of fitness. You don't have to be an athlete, do you, to ski? I would say
no, you don't.
If you can, you don't have to be an athlete. If you can walk a distance, or if you play any other sports, I think that qualifies you to cope with skiing or snowboarding. And
sure.
You don't have to be a super athlete to do it.
I was definitely not an athlete when I started.
I'm definitely not an athlete now, but being confident and relaxed, I think, really helps as well. You see a lot of people on the mountain who are really tense, and you know that if they're going to fall over, then that's going to hurt a lot more than the person who's actually relaxed and enjoying themselves and slightly at ease. And they seem to be the ones that get on better, don't they? The ones that aren't quite so rigid in their stance. So if you can try and relax and enjoy yourselves, then I would say that would help a lot.
Definitely.
Okay, and do you believe that also special diet or eating more healthily would help become a better snowboarder or better skier? Or it's not really important?
Eat what you
like. I mean,
you're on the mountain and you'll be starving. Everyone's starving, aren't they, when they're on the mountain?
I think it's definitely different if you're doing it. Like if you're doing competing and training, you have to be really careful what you eat and put in the right food to gain the best out of yourself when you're training. And because obviously you don't want to get halfway through like riding, the big session on the jumps and then be really hungry and eat the wrong thing, and your brain's not functioning right. That's really important. You risk injury then, and it's not good. So I think if you're just going snowboarding on the slopes, though, it's just eat what you want. Yeah.
I think that a lot of people do, because a week is a relatively short time for a holiday. I don't know, you probably don't do this from Jamie, but I tend to want to enjoy myself in the evening, have a nice meal, maybe have a glass of something, champagne for me. But and then imagine. You need to have a good night's sleep, don't you, to have a good day on the mountain, and preferably non-alcoholic the night before, but I know that I find that very difficult myself. It's good to have, it's a combination of
it's a holiday. It's a holiday experience, isn't it? And people enjoy themselves, and the food is often, it's fantastic. You're in a holiday environment, there's great food, both on the mountain and off the mountain.
And the après is a big part of it,
ski is part of the experience, and have a couple of beers or... Yeah, you're at altitude, so you have to remember at altitude alcohol affects you more quickly than at sea level.
You need to stay hydrated, don't you?
And water through the day. Drink water through the day.
I drink lots of water.
Lots of water.
Definitely.
I often find that the first night of a holiday, I sleep really badly at altitude. I have funny dreams.
So get used to it.
And then you get used to it a little bit. But also you've got to remember that the day getting there, it's also quite stressful. It's a long day. You might have been up since 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You might have been through an airport. You might have had a 3-hour, 4-hour coach journey. You get there, you've got to get your skis and boots, you've got to sort out your ski passes, you've got to find out where you're taking people to ski school. It's a big old
It's a long
day.
day.
You probably don't have to do this
a long
because
day.
it's all, you know, you're so used to it and
Yeah.
you're just breezing through the
It just
airport.
happens,
and
yeah.
everything. But then that very first day as well, you've got to be up. You've had an hour's chime change as well most of the time when you've gone to Europe, so it's another hour. If you go at Easter, you lose another hour through the thing. So you've had not necessarily a good night's sleep, and you might have to be at ski school for 9 o'clock. And I'm not sure that many people realise how much potential stress there is in that. And then and you know, if you know it's coming, then maybe you can rationalise it and be as organised as you possibly can.
Try to be as organised as you can.
And
sure.
all of that sort of and that all helps to make the week start off as well as you can, because normally it takes a couple of days to settle into any type of holiday, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And just, you know, going back to the hydration thing, I often ski with a backpack, and I'll have some water in there. If it's particularly cold, of course, the water can freeze in your backpack. And if you have one of those hydration packs, because the tubes are particularly prone to freezing up, that can be difficult. But what I do is I just fill a small plastic bottle up with warm water in the morning, and you know, on the lift have some water. And by lunchtime that's gone, and then I refill it again in a restaurant at lunchtime, and that tends to work for me. So you don't get frozen water in your backpack.
That sucks. Thermal flask is the best, and you got to. It's best to have water. If you've done it in the morning, put it in a thermal flask so it stays at room temperature, because then your body doesn't have to, like, if it's warm water, your body has to cool it down, and if it's cold, very cold, your body has to warm it up, so it uses more energy, which then.
We wouldn't know that.
Very
true.
I haven't got been.
It's very true.
But it helps.
One of the brilliant things about skiing in the States and Canada is that all the mountain restaurants have water stations, and you can just go in and help yourself. And they have sniffle stations at the end of the bottom of the lift, which I always really like, with the tissue, so you can wipe your nose. But I think that service, having the water readily available, so you don't have to stop and go into the restaurants and stand in a massive queue and buy a bottle of water for €8 or whatever.
It's expensive.
It is expensive. More and more of the restaurants have got that on tap now as well.
Yeah, they have.
Which is a huge improvement.
Okay, we have one more question from a customer. So he says that he's been skiing in Europe once before, but he was really unlucky because there was not enough snow. So he asks you guys if you can recommend any resorts which are most likely to have the right weather conditions in January.
In January?
Yeah, he's very specific.
Oh, I don't know. It's loads.
Yeah, everywhere should have snow by January.
You'd be very, very unlucky if you went skiing in the Alps in a major ski resort and didn't have access to snow in January.
Yeah,
I've never known that to happen in January, where you wouldn't be able to ski in the Alps.
Because most of the snow normally falls on a major changeover day, doesn't it? So it throws all the transport in resort. In fact, I would go so far as to say in January you might wish to go somewhere not quite so high, because it can be really bleak. If it snows for an entire week and you're somewhere where there's no trees and it's just complete whiteout, it's really you can't see anything. That makes skiing a lot more difficult. Somewhere where you've got some tree lines, skiing slightly lower down, for when it's misty and murky and give you some line of visibility, I would say that might be a good idea. I mean, the highest ski resort in Europe is Val Thorens in France. It's always got good snow, but then you can ski down into Les Menuires and down into Saint-Martin-de-Belleville. There's a few tree runs down there, down into Maribel as well. That might be a good option. What do you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's obviously, like you said, with the visibility in the trees and trying to go somewhere like that, because I'm normally away all of January, and I hate it. It's the one month that I'm not so keen on, because the weather is, you're definitely going to get snow, so don't worry about that. But yeah, no, try and go somewhere lower down. Like Lax is really good, because I'm always there in January, because you can snowboard all the way down to the town, and you can even go as far up to the glacier if you want. So you've got, that window, that range.
I suppose, yeah, that ranger skiing in January is a good option. And again, thinking about the French Alps, you know, the Porte du Soleil and Avoriaz, for example, you have high altitudes. Well, it's not high altitude, but they get very good snow there in Avoriaz. Yeah. And then you have the tree runs down towards Morzine and Châtel. And in Austria, places such as St Anton and Lech, you know, really snowshore resorts that have a lot of tree skiing access as well. In Switzerland, you know, you've mentioned Lux, but in January in Switzerland, in the Valais region, again, you know, you're unlikely to come across issues with snow in January. Definitely in the Alps.
We're all decided.
Not to worry.
Have a good time.
Well, you know, Norway again. The challenge, of course, in January in somewhere like Norway is that it is dark. It does get dark early at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it doesn't really get light till 9:30. So, although you're gonna get snow, it can be quite dark there for sure.
If we had a crystal ball, whenever we were booking people ski holidays, we would be able to promise you loads of snow and a week full of beautiful sunshine. Obviously, unfortunately, it never works quite that way, and that is part of the wonder of skiing, because you can also have a great week even when there's no visibility, but there's checking
you definitely can,
and have a lot of fun.
Okay, so we have time for one last question, but we kind of answered this one. She's saying, I'm torn between skiing and snowboarding. What do you recommend for an absolute beginner? But because we already answered this one, I would ask you, like, as a last question, what would be the last piece of advice that you would give to someone that is new to skiing and snowboarding? What would you say, like, your final words to them and encourage them? Or
try both before you go. You know, learn to ski here and learn to snowboard here, and have lessons in skiing and snowboarding, and just see what you prefer and what you pick up more easily. Yeah, definitely. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I agree.
Keep an open mind.
Try both. See what happens. Definitely.
And just enjoy yourself. Don't take it too seriously, because if you take it very seriously, you're in danger of not having the best time. And it is a great fun holiday to go on if you take your sense of humour with you. That's what I would say.
For sure.
Great. Okay, thank you guys for taking part in this live stream and being really helpful and thorough with the answers of both our predefined and also our customers' questions. And for you, the viewers, I hope you enjoyed this winter sports discussion. If you want to explore Decathlon ski and snowboard products, come and visit our stand at the Ski and Snowboard Show this week. And I wish you all a really nice Sunday evening. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.